you to first think about why clean water is essential for you. So aside from safe drinking water, it's important for your hygiene and for your sanitation as well. So in other words, clean water is essential for your health. I lived in Lima, Peru for 8 months, and this city is in a water crisis. The main water source to this particular desert city is the Rio Rimac, and it has a really big problem with contamination. Mining and irrigation activities have polluted the river basin with heavy metals and fertilizer, making it really unsafe to drink. And communities along the river banks not only drink but also drain sewage, untreated sewage into the river. So as a result, domestic and industrial contamination is also a problem. And not surprisingly, the hardest hit by this contamination is the asentamientos humanos, which literally translates into human settlements. And this is just another word for shantytown or slum in Lima. And these communities are comprised of mainly low-income indigenous people who have moved from the Central Highlands or the Amazon forest to the city for work. And these community members, for them, their water, they get it through public standpipes or cistern trucks, which charge these people around 3 times as much for the water than the wealthier districts of Lima. And this water isn't even safe for them to drink. And contamination of the Rio Rimac and development obstacles such as lack of infrastructure and lack of political will have left the 3.5 million in Lima slums without access to clean, sustainable water. And this is a problem because drinking this water is making them sick. It's making their children sick. And diarrheal diseases as a result of contaminated water sources or poor sanitation is a real dangerous problem in the slums. This is really important because diarrheal diseases and their associated complications account for 1/3 of hospitalizations and up to 2.9 million deaths per year among children worldwide. And I'd like to stress that being sick means much more than diarrhea or a stomachache. It means no school, you can't go to work, you can't take care of your family members, and also you need to spend extra money that you might not have on healthcare. And it quickly becomes more than just a health problem. It's an economic problem. It's a barrier to development and also a barrier to end that cycle of poverty that we're in. So how do we prevent all of those things by tackling the sick part? How do we improve these communities' health? So this is sort of where my organization comes in. I interned for an organization called Equidad y Desarrollo, or EDES for short. And they're a small NGO based in Lima, and their main mission is to reduce diarrheal diseases in children who are living in the slum areas. And it all starts with a simple but effective method for water purification technology. And the technology that EDES uses is called the biosand filters. Biosand filter is actually developed by a Canadian organization called the Centre for Affordable Water, Sanitation and Technology. And it's about 3 feet tall, and it's filled with sand, and it's made out of concrete. So materials that you can find in the global south. It costs about $12 to $30 to make, and the way it works is through manual and biological filtration. So you just pour the water in the top, it percolates down through the sand, and pathogens are either trapped or are killed due to lack of oxygen and lack of food. And this process filters out 98% of bacteria, 99.9% of protozoa, 98% of turbidity, and up to 90 to 95% of iron. It's durable, it's cheap, it can produce up to 80 liters of water per day, and best of all, it helps reduce diarrheal diseases in children. And the most important part about EDES is that they understand that health is much more than just handing over a filter. The idea is to arm communities with the knowledge and skills to help each other. So as a result, a large portion of EDES's projects are dedicated to education and training. So EDES makes sure they train mothers in the community as health promoters so they can take part in educating their neighbors. And they also train the fathers in the construction of the filter. So local capacities are strengthened in stuff like construction, so they have skills that they can market. And just to talk a little bit about my experience, I really enjoyed my placement with EDES. I got to do a lot of field work, I picked up a lot of technical skills, it was great. And when I first started, they had been implementing filters for about 4 years and had delivered up to 2,000 biosand filters to the slums of Lima with their primary and solitary donor, the Rotary Club. And as many successful NGOs eventually do, they want to scale up. They want to start producing more and start building more. And this started with the sand sorter, which is that machine in the picture that I'm working on. This whole point of the sand sorter was to sieve and wash sand, so we didn't have to have workers doing it, which would save EDES time and money, and it would also make better and consistent sand, so we'd have better filters. The whole process took about 3 months to construct and implement, and things are really looking up for EDES. Unfortunately, the sand sorter led to a bunch of complications that weren't foreseen by the organization. Because EDES is a very small NGO, used to making quick decisions in the field, their development style was very trial and error. Let's try this, let's see if it works. And as a result of this spirit, with how they approached the implementation of this project, the planning process wasn't as strict. And as a result, there was a much higher than normal cost for this particular project. And when Rotary, our only donor, received the expense report, they were very unhappy. In fact, they were very angry with EDES. And this resulted in them pulling funding, which was problematic because they were our only donor. Naturally, tensions occurred and started building up in EDES, and disagreements among partners became frequent, and members of EDES who were crucial to the filter projects decided to leave and part ways with the organization. So where does this leave the filters, and what are the lessons learned? Well, although EDES's future is very uncertain, I'm very happy to say that the filter projects in Lima are still very much alive. The members who decided to separate from EDES are actually starting a new organization to carry on with the filter work. And I hope that they take away from what happened with EDES is that they should be able to learn from EDES's mistakes. So maybe diversify donors, try to find a more sustainable way of producing your filter projects, and also just to plan, if you are going to scale up, maybe don't have a lax planning process. Maybe write a report and make a plan for it. And what I learned about development is that it's messy. Things happen and you have to be resilient in your work, and you have to be adaptable. And I think that the good folks that I have the pleasure to work with EDES are showing just that by continuing on with the filter projects despite their complications. And I'm really happy that they're looking ahead, and hopefully that it'll lead to new beginnings and even more filters. Thank you very much.